Bro, what is up?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, man.
Get a little bit of rest this afternoon?
Yeah, a little bit. Took it a little
All right.
slower. We got a couple of games to talk about.
All right.
But we also got a game coming up tomorrow morning at 3:30 my time, 4:30 a.m. your time. And you're live streaming it. Is that right? Probably not live streaming the game, but you'll watch it with everybody who wants to be there.
Yeah. I'm gonna get up at 4:30 and make sure that I do that. I need to set my alarm clock while we're talking too, so that I don't forget to do that. So early in the morning, but it's not for me. It's easier because obviously I'm gonna set it for 4:20. Hopefully that's good luck right there.
Yeah, I'd like to get up for it. We'll see.
But 3 o'clock, bro, is way too fucking early.
I'm gonna leave everything set up, and if
All right.
I can't sleep and I wake up, I'm gonna pop on.
What's up, Jared?
I'm excited about watching the games. We already did see a couple of games with Thunder players in it. We saw Canada take on France and really blow them out in the second half. That game is worth talking about, and we'll do that in a second. And then we also saw Finland versus Australia, and once again, Australia outclassed Finland in the second half. Really pulled away. I didn't get to see that game, but I saw a condensed version of it, about 25 minutes of it. So I missed a lot of the game flow, but there was a lot that I did see. So that's why I want to get up at 3:30, because condensed highlights, man, it doesn't get it done. I want to watch these games.
Yeah, and it's to me, we've get 2 Josh Giddey games guaranteed. Jack White games guaranteed. I obviously think that Canada is going to just go through their area. I don't think it's going to be very difficult for them to make it to the next round. So I think that's going to be there. I think the fact is, if you look at Australians' bracket, it's crazy, man. I mean, they've got like 3 teams that are in that bracket that could advance, and it's between them, Germany, Australia, Germany, and starts with an L. I can't. Maroon
Latvia?
and white. Yeah, Latvia. Thank you. They have great shooting, and I think Bertans is on that team too. So that's the other Thunder player that we have on that in the world, and he's starting over there too. So there's a lot that's going on in that Australian league, that Australian area that I'm really keen on watching, because I mean their defense is stellar. I was really impressed with what I've seen with their defense and the way they were able to get up the ball, the court. They looked very composed, like they were ready to go, and 3/4 of that type of ball, I mean, that was good enough for me to see that they're ready. And the first quarter will come, but the 3 other quarters, I felt like they just did what they were supposed to do. Yeah, and it looked nice when they're all together.
And that's where we should start for sure. Let's dig into this Australia thing, and then we will move on to talk about Team Canada, because we're excited about that, and that's actually probably just as exciting, if not more. But so let's talk about Josh Giddey. Let's talk about Jack White. And Jack White, we got a commenter who I'm sorry, I wish I had your name in front of me, but I don't. But mentioned Jack White has been kind of talked about as on the chopping block very quickly for the Thunder, and they're hoping that Sam Presti is paying attention, because Jack White is looking really good, and he does. He is knocking down threes, he's hustling at a high level, and he's dunking on people. And those 3 skill sets, I think, really bode well to the position and the role that we're looking to fill in the Thunder. So I could be wrong, but I think Jack White is definitely somebody that has a chance to make the team. I think, yes, it's a bit of overcoming the odds, but we're talking about Jack White. That's his whole career. So why not?
Yeah. Well, if he doesn't make the team, he's still an incredible trade asset. I mean, that's the thing about it, is that everybody's seeing what Jack White's doing. It's not just a Sam Presti thing right now, or you and I, or Wayne, or some of these other guys are too cool that are talking about him. There's so many more people out there that are recognizing his game. So if Sam Presti's holding that chip right now and saying, "Hey guys, Jack's not going to make the team, but he's tradable asset," people are watching that right now. But I do think that if I'm being honest with it, I do think that Jack is going to make the team, and it's going to make it difficult for one of the other players that we've fallen in love with. So, hey, Sicily.
So obviously Jack White has us excited. I knew about him, but I don't really watch much college basketball, so I didn't see him at Duke. And I don't watch NBL that much, or if ever, other than like scouting style. But he has really impressed with me what he's been able to do with very limited minutes already.
That's it.
That's just his role, and that's what we need. So let's talk about Josh Giddey now. Giddey, well, like if you knew nothing about Josh Giddey coming into this tournament, at all, you would think that he was the most decorated #1 Australian player in history. You would just look at him and be like, yeah, that guy, you wouldn't think, oh, well, he's like 20.
Yeah.
Isn't he 20? Like maybe 21 now?
No, he's
like,
20. 20.
You would just think like this guy gets it. He understands the game. Now there are moments out there where you look at it and you're like, yeah, like the level of competition is like it's high. And
I think you're right though. Mark, you gotta look at Josh Giddey like this, man. If you guys, all our listeners, if you take 10 minutes and watch Josh's game, obviously it's more than 10 minutes, but even watching a highlight for 10 minutes of Josh's game in FIBA, and you take everything you know about Josh, everything that you've learned about Josh over the last couple of years in the Oklahoma City Thunder organization, and you just watch Josh just as a basketball player. First of all, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be like, holy shit, this kid can play. You're not seeing him with rose-colored glasses. You just got to strip all that shit away and say, how does he play? How does he see the floor? The imbalance plays to wide open layups to guys that nobody else would have been able to get the ball to. The fake steps to the pass over top that makes the defender step one way so he can get the ball to that offensive player that he's trying to get the ball to. The massive idea of what Josh can do on both sides of the court. And when I say massive, I truly mean massive, because if you look at Josh at his height at 6'9", 6'9.5", and that 30 right now? Like, he is so thick. He's a big dude, and he gets to see over top. Like, the way he runs the offense for the Aussies is the same way he runs the offense for the Thunder. Like, there's to me, I see that, and to me that's the proof of a good player. Where a good player doesn't have to change his game to fit into World Cup or Olympics. It just goes well with your country already. We've seen it happen so many times before, where a player that plays for France and they come out and all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, these guys are playing really, really well. Well, that's because they're playing the same style of play they play in the NBA, and they've learned to evolve the game around that. And that's what I love about Josh is like you can't stop him. He's 6'9", going downhill. He gets really low. He gets really fast. And then he finishes really high at the top of his peak. And it makes it really difficult for players that are 6'6", 6'5", that are guarding him. It's almost impossible. And then you have to stick a 6'8", 6'9" guy on him, and then he just runs right past him. So we're seeing that in the World Cup and what he's able to do. And 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. I mean, it's not, or 9 assists, whatever it was. It's not like crazy amazing, Wasn't it? Or was it 13?
But think about it, dude. That's his first taste of international competition.
But that's what he does with the Thunder. That's what I'm saying, is like those are the stats that he does with the Thunder, and it's translated into this game, and that shows you where the NBA is going. That shows you where the mix of European and Australian NBL and all these other leagues are finally making a difference in the NBA, because a player like Josh Giddey, his game doesn't change when you go and play FIBA or where the Olympics. Everybody else has to change their game because of Josh, and we're going to see that a lot. Whether it's Ousmane Dieng playing for France next year, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, like, this is what it's all about, man.
There you go, bro. You said it. So as much as I want to go on and on and on about Josh Giddey, and we should, and you should check out the Thunder's little Josh Giddey 3-part episode, a 3-part series that's come out so far. More to come, I'm sure. Let's shift gears and talk about Shai. We had a chance to watch Shai. My dog is wanting to get out of the door, so I'm going to let you talk about Shai. I'll be right back.
All right. Man, first of all, what Shai can do with Team Canada and the way he looked with Team Canada was great. And the first quarter was kind of rough. And, I mean, I was thinking, and I think Mark and I were thinking, that the way after the first quarter, we said the difference with Josh Giddey right now is he doesn't have, or the difference with Shai, he doesn't have Josh Giddey. And that was after the first quarter. And so many times that we've watched Shai just be uncomfortable in the first quarter, and I've called it uncomfortableness because we've seen him just try to figure it out. And third quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter, he's always dominating after that. And for me, I've got to rephrase that when I watch Shai kind of not struggle, but just kind of take the game at its pace. He's not trying to force anything. He's just seeing where it's going. He's seeing what shots he can get up, seeing where he can get to the floor wide open, understanding the defense and where they're coming out and helping at, understanding the screens, where they're at. That's the first quarter for Shai. And then it's the second, third, and fourth quarter. He just dominates because he knows where everybody's at. He knows where the defensive help's coming. He knows where all this other stuff is at because he just sits around with the ball. I mean, like, I have never seen a player do that in my life, man. Like, the way that he does that on a consistent basis is spectacular. It might not be an entire first quarter. It might be like 3 or 4 minutes in the first quarter. But watch it, guys. Just watch how he sits back and just kind of lets the game come to him and then takes it over. I mean, that's exactly what he did the other night to France. It was like he kind of lulled them to sleep. And then finally, it's just like in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, it was just like, what just happened? Like the 30-point lead happened. So,
Yeah,
Snitza, you owe me 7 bong hits, by the way.
And I noticed with Shai and all the friendlies, like all 4 quarters were about exactly the same level of, like you said, not really trying to do much.
Yep.
I think he would have been perfectly content with France of taking a backseat role the whole game. But when the team looked at him and said, like, we need you to go out there and be Shai, he's like, all right. But like, he's playing with a bunch of players who are used to getting shots on their team.
Dude, but look at it though. Look at his guards, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I have to think about the nastiness. Like, it's either Brooks on the floor or Dort on the floor. They have one or the other on the floor. It's just, bro, like, I have not seen a team like Canada. You got Powell, you got Olinko, Olink. You got all these Olenek, you got all these guys that are just like truly like a fun group of guys to watch. Like, Canada is truly special right now. And if you guys get a chance, obviously watch Canada, because like the way that Shai runs the offense is the same thing he does in Oklahoma City. And the cool thing is about it is that Shai runs that offense, but he's the shooting guard in Oklahoma City. Like, I love that, man. I mean, like, we can call him a point guard because the league calls him a point guard. But I mean, I think he plays what? Like, when Josh Giddeys in the game, he plays like 60% of the possessions at the shooting guard. So like,
well, I mean, like, if you're gonna average over 30 a game, like, that's the thing about Shai, right? Like, and that's what makes both Shai and Giddey such great players and then great teammates. Is
right,
like,
Jared.
Shai, to be his best, like, he just needs to go out there and like get to the rim. And when he's getting to the rim, teams really have trouble stopping him. And if they sell out, then he's good with passing. But if they're not completely selling out, he's better off finishing. Whereas Giddey, like, as soon as he gets a little bit of help, he's better off with the pass.
Yeah.
And like, they both have kind of figured that out. Like, in Shai's passiveness, or like you said, letting the game come to him, I mean, that bodes really well for a player like Jamal Murray when he's playing with Team Canada and he's back, hopefully, for the Olympics. It plays really well for a player like Giddey. And then, we did feel like Shai was missing Giddey, because Giddey makes sure he finds Shai to get Shai a rhythm early in games. And then Shai didn't have any rhythm. And so they shifted and he started bringing the ball up and just really making sure that he was taking advantage when he had those openings. The openings were different because he was seeing a lot of lengthy zones. So it was get past your man or get past the trap and stop and pop, or stop and do a spin move and shoot. Like, it wasn't get fully to the rim very often because they usually had a couple of bigs sitting there waiting. But what I really noticed with Shai's ability was, once that happened, he was moving the ball because he was getting 4 or 5 defenders around him.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
Come on in. Who's here, dude? Let's see. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be watching these games. Unc, I'm excited to have you.
What's up,
Obviously,
Unc?
we got to watch that
Hey guys.
game against Canada, and that was a lot of fun, man. What'd you think about what we saw from Shai, like putting on those Jets second quarter and on?
You know, he's just the same old as the classic Shai. I mean, he's just, he kind of started out just a little bit slow, I thought. But
Yeah,
like I say, he's just got that jerky kind of a, just the way he moves just does it.
yeah.
I felt like yesterday I saw again. I talk about Shai's release a lot. And yesterday though, I felt like when I forget who was guarding him, but there was a couple times that I would have felt like he would have been blocked last season or the season before. That this season, I feel like his release is quite a bit higher. And to me, like again, it's the little improvements that he's making right now. But man, that game yesterday was a taste of what could happen for
How
this
about
Canadian
that
team.
deep three?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
He was
Looks
just like,
like-
I don't care. I got rhythm.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
He was, I mean, he's done that in a game or two the last couple of years. I remember him he just feels it and just jacks it up. But you got to give him the green light when he feels
Absolutely, man.
He shot a few more threes than we're used to in the NBA, but I really feel like his confidence demonstrates to me he's gonna focus on shooting more of those when he's open, because like it's a low impact shot compared to going in and trying to finish over the bigs.
Yeah.
I agree, man.
Y'all were talking about Josh. I mean, and I know y'all didn't want to put too much time on him, but he's kind of like sneaky kind of the way he moves too. I mean, it's not like he's got that jerky kind of a move, but he looks slow, but he's really not. Yeah. I mean, he's a really good, better than most kind of a players. The way he kind of goes to the basket now. I know the last couple of years, the first year he didn't go that much, and the last year he really tried. And I think this year he's going to really go to the basket a lot.
Yeah, and when he gets a little bit past the defender, he knows how to use his frame to keep them on this side and finish over them, even though he maybe isn't necessarily in front of them. And that's something that's a strength. I look at AFL a lot as a residual of how he uses his frame. But Dave, what you got, man?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like the way he gets down though, he forces the defender to get lower. Like you see these guys that, they try to get the defenders to get higher and get out of place like that. But when Josh goes low with that ball, he forces the defenders to get low. And the second they do that, he uses his hips, he uses his elbow, and it's always ever so slightly, never enough to give you a foul, but ever so slightly, there's a bump and the guy gets off. Like, I mean, it's impossible when you're that low.
Bumps the guy off.
Yeah, he just bumps him off.
Hey,
Get off my hip.
I've got a couple of questions for y'all.
Yeah.
I remember last year they were going to change some things up, kind of new rules, and that carrying the ball. They started the first month, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. They call a lot of that carrying the ball, and then to come about November, Thanksgiving, they just stopped. I mean, I don't remember them being. I just wonder if they're going to try to continue to do that, because, like I say, everyone carries the ball,
right?
Because that's that isolation kind of ball, one-on-one kind of a ball, and it's more of a team play. And I think if they would do that, that would help Oklahoma City tremendously, because I think we have that team ball kind of concept. What do y'all think?
Man, I think the team ball is exactly what we want, but like that travel call or double dribble call they were calling, to me, it slowed the game down significantly. When you add 4 or 5 calls like that a game, like it slows it down. And I think the NBA, like they always do, is they put in a rule and then they let it go for 30, 40 games. They see how it goes and they reevaluate it. And I think the second half of the season, they reevaluated and they said, we don't like how slow the game's going because of it. Because 4 or 5, stops of the ball like that, it does slow down the game, significantly. So, to me, if it's an even Steven per team, like it's like 2 and 3, turnovers per team on that, then you can just drop that because it's even, even.
they usually pick like a couple of rules of emphasis, and they're like, okay, we're going to hyper focus on this, and then
The
it really
charging
fucks
is this
things
year.
up. Charging, and sometimes it'll be like illegal screens, moving screens if you're not perfectly set, and then after a while they're like, okay, like no human being can avoid moving absolutely anything, so we have to avoid like calling people who are slightly moving and really focus on whether or not they're leaning into it, flaring the elbows. So then they start cleaning it up. But yeah, the refs are definitely sloppy at the beginning of the year, and it, you know, every level of the game, you have to figure out what the refs are going to let you get away with. And
that's it, man.
like you have to figure out what the rules are, and every single crew of referees have their own set of like things they pick at. So yeah, it can be really frustrating for a young team to just like lose possessions where it's just like, I was doing what coach taught me to do, and now you're saying I shouldn't do that, and they're like, well, you didn't do this one thing right.
I've always said this about teams in the organization. There needs to be a scouting for other players and other coaches, but there also needs to be a scouting for the referees, because those referees impact the game. And if you're sitting there and saying, we've got 3 games with blank referee this week, we know he calls this really tight, so we're going to work on this and practice hard, because these are the things that they need to be doing. It's 3 or 4 extra points a game. And people are always like, oh, that's not that big of a deal to change things. It is in the NBA. 4 points extra a game is the difference between winning by 1 point or losing by, 3 points. We've seen it happen this last year with so many close games with the Thunder. And you're like, if the Thunder had just 4 more points, 2 more possessions, we could have won that game. And
a lot of games.
Yeah. So for me, like, I that's where I go back to. And there's a lot of change that needs to happen in the NBA, but the change that they're doing right now is exactly how it fits the Thunder. The zone defense, which, like it allows these teams to go into like panic mode at second, like 17. You're seeing teams trying to take the, dumbest shot ever because they're like, oh, it's open, just throw it up. It's the panic mode the Thunder bring on teams. And I think that's what's so great. If you looked at the way that even Coach D coached every single game when we were down like 15 points in his first season, he coached to the very end. Because there were some times that we came back on, we shouldn't have came back on in the last like 2 minutes of the game. And then you're teaching these, guys like finish every single game. And I think that's what's happening with this Oklahoma City Thunder team with these young players is like, I don't know, man, like the old school coaches, like you're down by 10 points with 2 minutes left. Like you take good shots and you just, you rush it. But if, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But this Oklahoma City Thunder team, it's like you miss the shot with 2 minutes to go and you're down 10. And then all of a sudden they ramp up their defense and you see a different side of it. And you're like, holy cow, like this is different. And then you've seen the Oklahoma City Thunder come down by, like what was it, 12? And there's like 3 minutes left to go in the game this last year or something like that. Like, that's what's happening. And that's why it's important that you get every single possession, even if it's, like the Dort plays that he gets those offensive fouls like that and he goes the other way. And, Jay Wills, you're going to see Isaiah Joe take a bunch of charges like he did this last year. I think he was like top 5 in the NBA for charges or top 10 in the NBA for charges, Isaiah Joe.
Oh, really?
So
I don't know
like,
that.
So there's like all these other guys and all the other factors that bring into the extra possessions every single game. And we've, was it Donahue or whatever his name was, the corrupt ref that said he had an interview in prison and he said something along the lines of he realized that every single game came down to the difference of 6 calls.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a blowout and there's nothing you can do, but if it's a even a 10-point game, 6 calls going the opposite way affects the game so dramatically that a team can come back from anything on that. And that's how it is. If the Thunder can pick up those 6 calls that are bonuses to our team, then we're that much better than everybody else.
Got another question for you.
All right, man.
I was kind of counting them. I can't remember what it was. Like a 5-point game. I think we were like 11-16 last year in about a 5-point game. Yeah. Do you think that one more year experience, if we could flip that's 5 games we could pick up right there? Would you be happy with the being a 5-point games, if we were 16 and 11 or thereabouts kind of a deal?
So we're talking about 27 games. if we could flip it, that would be impressive. But my feeling on this team is that we should probably win 20 out of those, because the way that our closing lineups are going to be loaded, and when you see what Shai can do, if he can just have, if we can just avoid handing him deficits in the fourth quarter, he's going to be able to put on the Jets at the end. So I'm really, really like hyped about what we can do. I think we should be elite in the last five in 5 points or under games. I don't think we should just be average. I think we should be elite, because we have, like, Shai's just not a player who goes out there and scores empty points. Like, so he's an elite finisher. Giddy is an elite finisher. He's a gamer, and he puts out his best when the game's on the line. I think we should definitely win, something crazy. And honestly, we may not have that many close games because we're that good at closing. We could just be like, down by 3 with 5 minutes left. Here comes Shai getting in the groove of the fourth quarter, and we win by 12. Game over. You know what I mean?
I know.
I think it's great, man.
No. Good.
No, go ahead.
No.
I was
go
just
ahead. Go.
All right. So we're talking 27 games. Let's just put 3 more games on that, and let's just bring it to 30. All right. All right. So, and the reason I want to do that is I want to put it in perspective to exactly what I'm bringing up here. I think the Thunder can go 20-10 in the first 30. Okay. That's one less win, or one loss than you think, which I think is great, because if you look at it in 30 games, right, if you're taking the Oklahoma City Thunder and you're saying Thunder need to win 20 games, so you got 230, I call them midsections, right? 30-game midsections. So if the Thunder go 40-20, right, in the first 60 games, that leaves 22 games for the Thunder to dominate. So if we're talking that, we're talking about some serious stuff, because even a 16-11,
what up, Tobias?
Record, if you take that and you say, okay, well, the Thunder are going to win 18 games and it's going to be 18-12, right? You're still talking about a 50-win season. Like that's what's so impressive to me. That's what gets me excited right now, is because, people are like starting to put the numbers and say, well, the Thunder do this and this the first 30, 40 games, they could win 55 games. They could win 54 games, and it's like, that's what happens. And you're right. Like, if we flip the script to 16-11 the first, and then also we win 3 or 4 games in a row, like, everybody in the NBA is going to recognize what's happening.
I think we could win 50 and look back and be like, man, we should have won 55.
What's up, Shane? What's up, Tobias? Yeah. Yep. Oh, I think we have to be happy, man. I think we have to look at that, because if we go 44, that means we've dealt with a lot of injury, and we still get to go to the playoffs. To me, that is a big time positive. If we deal with injury and we still win 44 games, to me, hell yeah.
I think that's one of the and I still think it's a good step, because like we have to look at any forward progress as good. But that's one of the hard things right now, because
44-40 would put us in a
it'll be 44-38.
Yeah, 44-38. I'm sorry. This is the 7th place, right, man?
I mean, it would have this last year. I think we would have been.
Again, that's tremendous right there. Anytime that you can even move up 2 or 3 spots in the rankings as a young team, you have to look at it as a positive.
And I think like that for me, I look at this and I think like any improvement like is good. Yeah. But I also want to like kind of project what I think this team could be capable of. And that's the hardest part, is because I don't want to like create expectations that are like out of check with us being satisfied. But I do look at it and I say, like, on paper, like if somebody was explaining the situation to me, this team, and all the things that I believe about it, like there really isn't a reason that this team shouldn't win 55 plus games, except for one, their age. Their age would be the only thing that would be like, okay, that's a big question. But I'm willing to say like anything that is above 40 wins is definitely a good season for us for sure.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I agree. All right. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and be back tomorrow morning at 4:30. Unc, stay with us here so we
What
can
up, Sayer?
upload your video. Tomorrow at 4:30 my time, we are watching Australia versus Germany. Hope you guys can be there. I know we have a lot of Australian fans
3:30 OKC time.
that will be there. So we're looking forward to that. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.